Excuse me, sir, is this the Delta House?
Sure. Come on in.
They have cold beer and action on the game.
I'm shocked to find that gambling is going on in here.
It's time for the Degenerates Next Door.
Dollar bills, y'all.
It is winning time in the college basketball season. Time to cut down some nets. It's the Final Four. My name is Jason Hammer. I host the Hammer and Nigel show in Indianapolis. Rob Kendall, former elected official, tax-cutting machine, and damn fine radio host in his own right, joins me. And Rob, we're going to get to the Masters. I know you've got thoughts on the Masters. We've got our pro handicappers coming up here in just a little bit. But as we remind everybody, we're not professional handicappers. We are degenerates who do our homework, and it's a big one. It's a big weekend. It's Final Four weekend in college basketball. Duke, Florida, Auburn, Houston. That is the ranking of the odds right now. Duke plus 325 to win the whole thing. Florida plus 325, a little higher in other books. Auburn plus 425, and Houston, the long shot of these four, plus 600.
Is it? Wait, time out on that for a second. So I took Houston at the start of the tournament at plus 800.
Yes.
Isn't that wild that you're down to 2 games, and they've played well in every single game, and yet they're only now plus 600 after winning 4 games?
I think the odds makers see who they're running into in the Final Four and think, okay, you've got Cooper Flagg, the probably best player in college basketball the last number of years, the surefire number 1 pick. Duke, who's playing their best basketball of the year. Yeah, I think they see that Duke is a 5-point favorite in this game and that Houston may be one and done in the Final Four.
Yeah, and look, Houston's already done its job. It helped me win our bracket betting challenge, so they've done our part. But, man, I'd like to win the bet. That'd be cool to get the national champion, right? And it wasn't like I picked the odds-on favorite at the beginning of the tournament. That'd be cool. That'd be into some nice bragging rights.
Well, here's a little something for you as a Houston backer you may like. In NCAA tournament history, the coach in the Final Four with the most experience is 119-69 straight up.
Wow.
That's in the Final Four in the national championship game. And just in the Final Four, 75-46 straight up.
Woo.
And Kelvin Sampson, this is his 3rd Final Four.
And he's also a known cheater.
Right.
I mean, cheating.
He plays to win. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, baby.
I mean, like the stuff he did now, you look at it and you go, really? Somebody 10 years from now is going to read about what Kelvin Sampson got in trouble for, and they're going to be like, really? That was a crime in basketball?
I mean, you could say the same about Bruce Pearl, too.
True. Yeah.
Bruce Pearl, the other coach in this Final Four group that has appeared in a Final Four. This is his 2nd. But Duke and Florida, their respective coaches, this is their first trip.
You notice the chirping about the behavior of the Florida coach really went away, didn't it?
Right. Him being a little promiscuous, shall we say. Allegedly on the campus of Gainesville.
You don't hear that anymore.
Because he wins.
When they were Stinksville, he was, hey.
So let's look at these games here, Rob. Florida versus Auburn. Florida is a 2.5-point favorite. The over-under right around $1.60. And then you've got Houston against Duke. Duke is a 5-point favorite. And that's down a little bit. Over-under right around 136. Anything stick out to you here?
Well, look, I'm a total bias homer. And I talk about, I think I did last time, how I accidentally bet on Houston twice. So I got 2 bets on Houston because I had to burn through those I use them or lose them bets, and I wasn't paying any attention. So I got a heavy vested interest in the outcome. Somebody said this the other day, and I think they've got a point. The one area where Houston is much better than Duke is the guard play. When you look at the overall guard play, and how many times in these big high-profile games does guard play, unless you got a Jolly Green Giant like Zach Edey, some guy who's just infinitely better than everybody else, how often do we see it come down to how guys handle the ball and how you play defense against guys who handle the ball?
Do you not think Cooper Flagg is infinitely better than anybody else on that floor?
Yeah, but I'm saying collectively, who's bringing the ball up the floor? Here's the thing I noticed about, and my old man and I were talking about this, how fast these teams that are left get into their offense. Every one of them. when they get down, it's like an NBA game. That's the thing you notice about it. If you go to an NBA game, especially in person, how quick they get into that offense. That's the same thing with Duke, with Houston, with Florida, with Auburn. They're into that offense so fast. They're playing on a different planet than teams like Indiana.
Yeah, Indiana paid $1 million for a fat, lazy center from Arizona who probably couldn't cross the floor in 20 seconds if you had a stopwatch on him. Third most NIL money spent, and they didn't make the tournament. All right.
But I'm with you. I think Duke is playing the best basketball, and they have the best player.
So you bring up the offenses and how good the guards are and how they get into the action here. I want to talk about the defenses because Houston has always been very tough defensively. That's kind of Kelvin Sampson's thing, right? Teaches him to play defense. They were good a year ago. I think they're better now. And I watched firsthand what Houston did to Tennessee. Now, Tennessee's good defensively, too. They were one of the top 5 defensive teams in the country, and it was like watching the varsity against the JV. So let's look at some totals here. If you look at the first half total here, let's talk about Florida and Auburn. Over the full game, it's 160, over under. But let's look at the first half here. First half total. Previously this year, Auburn was beaten by Florida, 90-81. That was on February 8th. At halftime, it was 48-38. So that's 86 total points at halftime. Since then, though, Auburn has improved significantly, and they've gotten a lot better as this tournament's gone on. And if you break down the numbers here, this is the first game of the Final Four. So it's in a strange venue, a place that normally doesn't have a lot of college basketball. Nerves come into play, and 2 pretty good defensive teams. I know we talk about Florida and their offense. They're pretty good defensively, too. Since 1985, we've had 15 totals of 160 or more, and this game falls into that category now. We've had 15 totals of 160 or more, and the under is 10-5 in those games. So when it comes to Florida and Auburn, it seems almost sacrilege to take an under when it comes to the Florida Gators, but first half, factoring in the nerves, factoring the new venue, and it's a rivalry game. These guys know everything about each other. I'm going under in this one. First half under 76 in Florida and Auburn. All right.
Can I real quick just tell everybody a tweet or a text you sent me during the Florida game? So Hammer sends me, you know how those AI photos, you can make people be old now? Famous people who died young. Hammer sends me a picture of old man Tupac. And it just says, Tupac today if the Florida Gators were the shooter.
That first half was rough for the Florida Gators.
I laughed and laughed and laughed at that.
Let's move on to Houston and Duke. Again, Houston, the best defensive team in the country, and they've got big dudes. Some teams have players. Houston has big dudes, but Duke has the dude.
Yeah.
Over under sitting at 136. The first half total is 63. Duke is 3-2 against top 25 defensive efficiencies. Houston against top 25 offenses, 11-3. Now, take that for what you will. I think Duke's schedule was substantially harder than what Houston had to deal with, but Houston did play some hard teams in the non-conference. These guys met last year in the Sweet 16, and Duke won 54-51. It was a low-scoring affair, but Cooper Flagg was not on the floor. But I think Houston's better defensively now. If Houston can make, anybody else on Duke beat them, they're going to try to do that. Cooper's going to get his because he's that special. But if you can limit some of these other dudes, I like the under in this first half as well because look at that Tennessee game. They smothered Tennessee early on. And, again, new venue, little nerves. It's the first time Shire has brought his Duke Blue Devils to the Final Four. Cooper Flagg, the freshman, first time Final Four. And in the Tennessee game against Houston, the second half, you saw quite a few points. But that first half, sweet mother of God, it was bad. So we're going to ride the Lightning and go under the total of 63 in the first half in game number 2 as well. 2 first-half unders. I hate rooting for missed shots, Rob. I hate rooting for turnovers.
Yeah.
But I like money.
Yeah.
And money makes me happy, and I think this is our best play for both of these games. All right, let's find out what our professional handicappers think. We've got not one, but 2 of them. Kenny Britt of KB Sports and David Stephanoff of FollowNeverFade.com. We're going to pick their brains about the Final Four when we come back. We are the Degenerates Next Door. Back on the Degenerates Next Door, I'm Jason Hammer. Rob Kendall right across from me. And again, Rob and I, not professional handicappers, but we surround ourselves with people who are. One of our pros that we've been using all year long is Kenny Britt of KB Sports. And Kenny, this is a big one. We've got the Final Four, the national championship, just a couple of days away. So, Penny, for your thoughts here. Florida, Auburn, Houston, Duke. What do you think?
Well, with the NIL we've been complaining about, all year, you couldn't have a better Final Four, could you? I mean, I think this is going to be the best Final Four we've ever seen.
Some people complain about it, though, Kenny. Some people say the lack of upsets have made this tournament boring and things like that.
Absolutely. We talked about that last week. The Thursday, Friday of opening weekend was horrible. You maybe had 2 or 3 upsets. The Sweet 16 weekend wasn't, the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There were some good games. They weren't terrible. But, yeah, overall, I mean, hopefully the committee sees this and college sport. I don't know what the answer is. Nobody does. That's why nothing's being done. But football and basketball is going the wrong way rapidly. And I don't know the answer. Nobody does. So.
But it's kind of weird, though, because, yes, for nostalgia, for fun, we love scrappy underdogs early on.
Sure.
We like buzzer beaters. But let's be honest. When it comes down to the Final Four, the diehard fans, the folks like you and I, you kind of want the heavyweights to be slugging it out, right?
You want good games, really. You just want both games to be competitive and good. Was it George Mason was maybe the last long
George Mason made it in there. San Diego during, some of those post-COVID years got in there, but they were really good. It's not like they came out of left field.
Right. So I think maybe George Mason was maybe one of the last ones. There's one recently. I'm losing train of thought. But anyway, we just want good competitive games, good betting games. Personally, I think the Auburn Florida game, that's my key game. I'm having trouble with Duke and Houston. I just saw the line has gone down from 5.5 to 4.5 on that game. And I still don't know who I like, to be honest with you. I probably won't give that out as a VIP play. I do like the total in that game. Contrasting styles, which I love games like that. Houston, knock down, drag out, Duke up and down the court. Typically, Houston can play that way. So I like the over in that game.
Okay, so over on Houston and Duke. You feel more comfortable with that than
about 136 ish, yeah. And like I said, Houston, they can, a lot of teams like the old Tony Bennett Virginia teams, they can't score. They can never score. It didn't matter who they were playing. Houston's got the capability to score and to run with Duke. They've got the athletes. So I'm having trouble with the game itself, but I do like that over. Going to Florida and Auburn, I've won on Florida a lot this past month, but they have played sloppy. I've watched probably their last dozen games. They are so sloppy, and they're winning because they're just better. They got better team, better athletes. It's not going to be the case Saturday. I love Auburn. Auburn beat them in the regular season. It was at Auburn. They beat them by it wasn't double digits. It was 8-9 points. I can't remember. Auburn is loaded, and if Florida plays like they've played against these other teams and get behind 10 and they're throwing the ball away, they just don't look very coherent out there sometimes. I think Auburn might just beat the heck out of them a little bit.
And Auburn's catching points right now, too. Auburn catching 2.5.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna play the points and sprinkle a little bit on the money line. So that would be my big VIP play for the weekend. Actually, is Auburn on plus 2.5 and on the money line. I think Florida's just been sloppy. And then, like we talk about in football, Jason, when you got a game you can't decide on, you look at the quarterback. Well, let's look at the head coaches. It's Bruce Pearl against a teenager, basically.
Teenager can coach, though. Teenager can get after it. I mean, they said that about Brad Stevens once he took those Butler squads up, and he gave Duke everything they wanted and more.
Yeah, but I'm not a real big fan of this Todd Golden kid. I don't know. Something about the way he looks. I just don't like him.
I don't like his stupid face.
I don't know why, but, you've got – who's your punch face guy?
My punch face guy, there's not too many in basketball, but there's a lot in football. And it starts and ends with Lane Kiffin.
Lane Kiffin, okay, got you. So, Todd Golden, there's just something about him that, I don't know, I don't like. But, like you talk about in football, about the best quarterback, Bruce Pearl is, the best coach. And I think that, coupled with the fact that Florida's they're just been playing sloppy, I think Auburn's going to beat them, and I think they might beat them by double digits.
So if somebody wants to subscribe to your VIP plays, whether it's for the remainder of the NBA season, horse racing coming up, football, it's never too far away, where can they go?
Man. I love talking football. Facebook, KB Sports. We've had a great March. Went 51-28 during March Madness, 65%. We're hitting 60% in baseball right now. Having a great March, and next week we may need to talk about the worst case scenario: Aaron Rodgers signing with the Steelers, because it's starting to look more. And I'm going to need some therapy because it's starting to look. All signs point that direction, and I don't know what I'm going to do.
He didn't have bad stats last year, Kenny. Like, you look at his numbers. I know the Jets were a dumpster fire, and he's kind of a lightning rod, but as a Colts fan, would I have taken those numbers compared to what I got at quarterback? Hell yes, I would have.
He can sling the ball still. I mean, he hasn't lost his arm strength like Peyton did or like Tom Brady did. He can still fire the ball, but there's just all this baggage and all this prima donna and, going to the pyramids last year during training camp, and he tells everybody else they need to buy in. Tomlin won't let that happen, but I don't know. Anyway, it hasn't happened yet, but when it does, you just need to get me a therapist.
All right, KB, my man, we'll talk to you next week, and maybe we're diving into baseball. Maybe we're talking NBA playoffs and futures and all kinds of stuff.
Yep, they're getting ready to start up here in a couple of weeks, so playoffs in NBA. So, all right, guys, thank you for having me, and we'll see you next week.
All right, we go from one professional to another, because that's the way we get down here on the Degenerates Next Door. Another professional handicapper we've been riding the lightning with all year long is David Stephanoff of followneverfade.com. David, I'll ask you the same questions I asked Kenny. Florida and Auburn. Florida 2.5-point favorite. Over under right around 159.5, depending on where you look. Houston Duke. Duke 5-point favorite. Over under right around 136.
Okay. Thank you first off for having me, Hammer and Rob. Let's start off with the first game. I'm looking at the if Auburn game. Is Broom going to be healthy? Do we all know that? I mean, if he's not healthy, that's a totally different. I don't know what that line. Vegas must know something we don't. Last I seen, I'm not a liar. I went and hunted some TikTok videos and some clips of them guys doing the celebration, and them on the plane. He don't look like he's healthy, Hammer, and that concerns me.
It's an unknown as the time we're taping this podcast right now at noon on Thursday. It's a bit of an unknown. We haven't heard definitively one way or the other, but as of noon on Thursday, it's one of those deals where you just kind of have to keep an eye on the report.
Yeah, I don't. He didn't look. I mean, he looked pretty. Towards the end of the game, he didn't look 100%. That's for sure. Like I said, I got some teenage sons. I had them. They follow Auburn basketball, and I said, hey, let me see your phone for a second just to check him out to see what he look like. I don't think he's gonna be healthy. Florida has been unstoppable. Walter Clayton Jr. is probably the player of the tournament so far, definitely for Florida. I like Florida in the spot. Regardless if Broom plays or not. I just think Florida has too many weapons. They're too deep. Over-under, I'm not going to touch. These big games. How the open arenas they play in these big games, nerves come out. probably first half under. Probably like the first half under in both these games. But I like to lay the points with Florida here, regardless of VIP play. I gave it to VIP early in the week. I like Florida here over Auburn.
All right, so let's go to game number 2 here. Houston against Duke. You've got defense against offense and the player of the year in Cooper Flagg. The Dukies 5-point favorite with the over-under right around $136.
This line opened up at like 2.5. Vegas had a 2.5, and it went to 5. So the 5.5, like you say, as of now. I think I keep saying this, but I've said this all year long. Cooper Flagg is the best player since LeBron James. LeBron didn't play college, but I just think Duke's strong here. This line's 5, though. Houston's, don't get me wrong, they got some grown men, but if they got one big man, if they get in foul trouble, they're tough to match up inside against Duke if you're in foul trouble. Duke's so big. I know Houston's goes front line there, goes 6'10", but Duke's got 7'2", 6'10", and 6'8", and their both regards are 6'6". It's a tough matchup for Houston. The 5 points, I think it's going to be right around that number. I like this game to go under, though, in the total in this game. I just don't think there's a lot of points. Regardless, both these teams are top 10 defense, regardless of how they screwed the ball, how offensive they are. Houston's known for dog fights, and Kelvin Sampson, he's a good coach. He's going to have the team ready. I just see if Duke wins, Houston struggles. This game definitely goes under because Houston has, they're not an offensive powerhouse like Duke is, but both these teams, like I said, are ranked in the top 10 in defense. I like the game under. I think the number's right around 5. I just think Duke will win the game. That 5 is going to be pretty tough.
Yeah, and take a look at that first half under. I'm glad you brought that up earlier because when you're playing in these types of environments, especially the first game here, Florida and Auburn, that's a 159.5, almost 160 total.
Yep.
That's a lot of points for two teams that are going to be nervous, playing in a big, unfamiliar arena. Take a look at that first half under.
Yeah, all 4 of these teams are good, are top 15, top 16 defense teams in the country. 3 of them are the top 6 in the country defense-wise. So, their teams are going to get hot. With the total being that high, it's Florida's game to lose, to run. Because Florida's going to be all gas, no brakes from the tip. That's what they do. The other game, like I said, if the other game is the second game could drag off night, and one of these teams could score it'll be 40-20 halftime, and be like, man, this is a blowout, and be like another Tennessee-Houston game again. One of them teams cannot score. Yeah, but the first half under has been pretty gold in the Final Fours. Early in March Madness, first half under started off pretty rough, but they got better as the tournament went on. In the past Final Four, Tamara, I did see a stat where the second game of the Final Four has notoriously went under in the first half. I don't know why, if it would be overtime before that or the game lasted long, overtime, the game didn't start on time. But I have seen that. I'm not going to say I've seen the exact stat, but it favors the second half game, first half going under.
All right, so if somebody wants to become a VIP subscriber of yours as we get to the end of college basketball, playoff NBA, Major League Baseball, I know you're big into tennis. Where can they go?
Hammer, you know what? College basketball is our bread and butter. We're in Indiana. We know how we love college basketball. It's wrapping up. Baseball's here. We have some college baseball going on. But we're on the Major League Baseball, and we're on the tennis, like you say. I love my tennis. I keep telling people tennis is the easiest sport to bet in the whole world. Once people sign up, they realize, hey, tennis is pretty easy if you just follow along. But anyways, I'm on all platforms, Hammer, every day. Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. We're everywhere. You sign me $100 a week, get all my plays. Every tennis play I got, every baseball play I got, every hockey play. Hockey's wrapping up. We're absolutely on fire on hockey, too. But, hey, jump on board. Message me directly. Like I said, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. Get all my plays right now for $100 a week. We're on a special through the summer. Baseball's been pretty good to us so far. We love some baseball. Thank God for college basketball. It's been pretty good to us. But I thank you, Hammer. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Kenny Britt. Keep guys throwing winners. And I thank you for a great college basketball season, Hammer. And I really think after it's all said and done, I think the Duke Blue Devils and Cooper Flagg are going to cut down the nets. Thank you, everybody. But don't forget to follow Never Fade.
All right. Up next, just in case you haven't had your fill of the sports betting world, Rob Kendall is going to talk about the Masters. And when you talk about the Masters, you have to say it in that voice, the Masters. We got bets on that and a lot more. Going to wrap up the big show next. Back on the Degenerates Next Door, and it's not just Final Four talk today. We're talking a little the Masters with Rob Kendall. And as much as I despise you as a human being,
Thank you.
as much as I find you to be a very unlikable, small, petty man, you are a golf betting savant. You are a man that knows his way around the links and how to win some cash money when it comes to betting on it. The big one's coming up, the Masters. What are we looking at?
Well, the Masters is the greatest week in golf, and the course is obviously legendary, but the course is deceiving because while it is not a long course by today's standards, it is a course where the drive is probably the most important shot you hit. And what I mean by that is, a lot of times in golf, you see a guy in the fairway and you go, oh, that must have been a good drive. And a lot of courses, that's true. At Augusta, though, you got to drive the ball in the right place, because if you're not in the right place, your second shot isn't going to get anywhere close. And if you can't get anywhere close, you're going to have a hard time on those greens. So what I looked at are 4 guys who I think, one, are playing pretty well and have the ability, if they drive the ball well, to dominate the golf course.
Okay, what are we looking at?
Tippy top of the list, it's the one he needs for the Grand Slam, our old buddy Rory McIlroy.
Okay.
Plus 650. He's number 2 on the list. I got him, full disclosure, several weeks ago at plus 800. I thought that number was going to go down. He's playing very well. He's been in contention. He's won this year. If you can just keep Rory McIlroy from doing one Rory McIlroy shot around, where he hits some shot where you and I look at it and go, we could have done that. He'll have a strong chance to win the Masters.
Okay.
Number 2 on the list, my man, Ludwig Aberg.
Who?
Ludwig Aberg. I think it's pronounced Oberg, but it's spelled
They're not
Aberg.
booing. They're saying Ludwig.
This guy is the next thing on the PGA Tour. He has won on the PGA Tour. He's young. He's good looking. He hits the ball a mile. He was in contention on Sunday last year. Ludwig Aberg Oberg plus 1,700, my number 2 guy on the list.
Okay, so we've got the second guy in the odds, and then we've got a guy named Ludwig that's plus 1,700. I like where this is going.
Number 3, currently at 20 plus 2,100, so you can get McIlroy at plus 650, Oberg at plus 1,700, and number 3 on the list at plus 2,100, our old pal DeChambeau, Bryson DeChambeau.
Okay, now, did we ever get resolution on whether or not he may have had carnal relations with Paige Spearnack?
So they were feuding, and then they played one of his, I think he has the thing Trump did, some video series where he plays golf with celebrities.
That's on TV.
Yeah, it's great. DeChambeau is the best thing going on in golf. It's too bad he's on the LIV. But I think he played on one of those with Paige Spearnack. They buried the beef, and then there might have been more beef.
Isn't that what caused it? Isn't that why there was a feud to begin with?
And so they, I don't know what happened. I do know he's rich. He's very good looking, and he's got 2 U.S. Opens. So probably very enticing if you're some Instagram influencer.
I cannot wait to hear who you have saved for last.
Oh, by the way, DeChambeau plus 2,100. Here's the thing about DeChambeau. You got to pick a lane, Boris. He could shoot 90 the first day at Augusta. He could also shoot 65. It's a roller coaster ride. There will be 1 year where DeChambeau will drive the ball straight and he will obliterate that course. And I'm saying this could be the year. All right. And last but certainly not least, coming in at 2,900 plus 2,900, household name, beloved by people across the globe, Joaquin Niemann.
Joaquin Niemann.
Currently on the LIV. He's playing great on the LIV. Nobody sees the LIV, so nobody knows about this guy. He's young. He's got a flair for the dramatics. So you got McIlroy plus 650, Oberg plus 1,700, DeChambeau plus 2,100, and Joaquin Niemann at plus 2,900.
That's fantastic. And all of this talk about Paige Spearnack reminds me that the Masters had to cancel one of their advertisements. Do you remember when they wanted to air this?
The Masters is back on CBS. No spectators, no distractions, no recently divorced cougars in the clubhouse, tempting a golf pro to cheat on his wife. Just to focus on the game of golf and the Masters on CBS.
5 years ago, that was the COVID promo that they pulled. No spectators, no Cougars, the Masters.
Now admit, even you might watch the Masters. You're not a golf guy.
Not a golf guy, but I'm bandwagon. Yeah. I'm like that with horse racing, too. Yeah. I'm not Kenny Britt, but I'll watch the Kentucky Derby. I'll watch the Preakness and the Belmont. But that's about it.
Sundays and the Masters are special, man. You're seeing guys who have hit shots there for 80 years, and you watch it. I watch it with my old man every year. You hear the music, and man, it's a special week. I'm getting choked up, Hammer. I'm ready to go.
Are you sad that Tiger's not a part of it? Is that going to take away anything for you? Any enjoyment?
Nah, but I'm a golfer lifer. It will hurt the ratings. Anytime he's not a part of something, it's not as well viewed, and so it will hurt ratings. But I'd watch it if it were Harry Higgs and John Daly.
That you would. All right, that's it. You guys have a great weekend. Be safe and enjoy the Final Four, the national championship game. When we come back here next Thursday, we're going to start diving into some Major League Baseball, some NBA playoffs, and maybe some degenerate college baseball. I don't know. Depends on if we have enough time. For Rob Kendall, for David Stephanoff of followitneverfade.com, for Kenny Britt of KB Sports, my name is Jason Hammer, and as always, may the odds be ever in your favor.